All right, welcome to physics. This is our energy unit final project. I said in class that it might feel like we've gone quick, but that's because of the way we're doing our assignments over a couple days. And we're coming down to the end of the semester. So, this is our second activity that's going to go in the gradebook for the energy unit, and it really is going to be the most meaningful. So if you can do really well on this and ask questions on this, if needed, I can make sure that you get an appropriate and good grade for the energy unit. Um, so please do this, and please let me know if you need help so that you can feel successful with this. Okay. And so our objective is that you are going to create a slideshow that demonstrates your understanding of energy and energy transfer. And so I've created a template for you. You're going to open this, and when you do this, it's going to ask you to make a copy. So just a reminder, once you do that, you want to go back to your Google Drive or your Google Slides in order to access the slideshow. Don't keep clicking this link because you'll just make new copies. Okay. Then you're going to pick a scenario on the scenario page, and that'll make more sense once we see it. And you're going to complete each slide from the template and answer the questions. When you're done, you're going to submit the project shareable link below. And please make sure that I have access to it. So the default setting for Google has changed, and so you have to go in and tweak the shareable link. But I will demonstrate that right now. So I click this link, and it's going to open up this. Again, here are the directions, the same ones I just had you. So we're going to go and skip to number 2 and our scenario options. So each scenario is going to provide you with information that you need in order to make calculations. Okay, excuse me. And will look a little bit different based on what kind of energy is going to be present. So, this first one should sound very familiar, but now I've provided some numbers so where you can calculate potential energy for the skydiver. And then second scenario, okay, is about a bungee jumper, which again, you will be able to calculate the potential energy and the total energy of the system. Then the third scenario is different than what we've had. So if you're feeling comfortable maybe, or it just sounds more interesting, you can give this one a try. Okay, as the child is going to use a slingshot to launch a 1 kilogram rock from a height of 1.5 meters. So, and I give you the amount of elastic energy that it's going to do that with. So, lots of information in there for a slingshot scenario. And last but not least, we've looked at a skateboarder before. So here's a skateboarder going through a half pipe, and I give you again some measurements so that you can make some calculations. So with this, you're going to make the slideshow below. So scenario title, right? If I choose one of the scenarios, you can be creative. Let's say I choose the slingshot scenario, so I can say the slingshot. Okay, that could be the title. That could be the title. Whatever you want the title to be, I just need to know which scenario you've chosen. Okay, so I will undo that real quick. There we go. Okay, then what forms of energy are present? Again, we have talked about potential energy, which is EK. We've talked about I apologize. EG, kinetic energy, which is EK. Talked about elastic potential, and I really should clarify, this is gravitational potential energy. Elastic potential was EE. We talked about thermal energy, was E thermal. And then those are really the 4, and they will add up depending on the scenario to your total system. So for this page, you don't need to include the total system, but you do want to make sure you select the correct ones of these. And then here's what's next. Not only do I want you to talk about which ones are present, like, with a list, I want you to tell me how they're present. So, just a quick example, if I'm doing the slingshot, I would say elastic potential is present. The boy, as the boy pulls back on the slingshot, I guess it's a child, but as the child, I apologize, pulls back on the slingshot, the elastic potential energy grows. And I do provide in the scenario the units of energy, so to 200 joules. So you could say that and describe how it's present in the scenario, okay? And you want to do that for each one if it's available, okay? Or present, I mean. So if there's kinetic energy, if there's potential energy, make sure you include it. Then how much total energy is present in the scenario? So again, we've practiced how to determine that by calculating at the beginning of a scenario, what is the total potential energy? Or if something is moving, we did this with a vehicle the other day, what is the total kinetic energy? And again, when they're at the peak of potential or the peak of motion, that is going to be the equal to the total energy in the system. So keep that in mind. You have the calculations to solve for one of the energies that we've learned, um, and then that'll be equal to the total energy in the scenario, right? Then I want you to create a visual model of the scenario. So one way to do that, if you go to Drive and New, you can do a Google drawing and it'll give you this little platform. Got it? Okay. And then I can draw, this little slingshot scenario, or you can look for something like clip art. Okay. So maybe I'll just test this out. Slingshot. Ooh, this is more what I'm thinking of. Okay. So I could insert, okay, a picture of a slingshot. And I could try to represent somehow it's stretched, that there's a rock in there, and it's going to be shot, and that it's 1.5 meters off the ground. Okay, so again, I can try and build a little kind of image that represents this scenario. Whoops, wrong one, sorry. Then I want you to create the energy flow diagram. So we did this a lot throughout the last couple weeks where you kind of have these rectangles. So again, you can build very similar. Whoops, I apologize. Very similar to what we've done. You can kind of build what that's going to look like, right? You need a box for each type of energy and then your total. Okay, and then you would simply use another one and maybe a different color, right? Ooh, that's not what I meant to do. That's what I meant to do, okay? To represent the bar. And then, of course, you need to add labels and that kind of thing. So, again, I'm challenging you to try and create this from scratch, which you've never done before, but we have practiced it a few times now, okay? Next, here we are, the conclusion. To conclude this project, I want you to explain your energy flow diagram. So why did you kind of model it the way you modeled it? So again, in my slingshot example, at the very, very beginning, I would say that the elastic potential energy would be the highest, right? When that slingshot is being stretched as far back as possible, that's when the elastic potential energy. So I would explain to start in this scenario when the slingshot is pulled, that is when there's going to be the most elastic energy, and There's no motion happening, right? If the child is just holding it there, there's no motion yet. It's just that buildup of the elastic energy. Um, and then as they release, okay, the elastic energy will transfer into, a different form of energy. I don't want to go too much, but right, you kind of explain the energy transfer and why you drew it the way you did. And then in that, I want you to touch on the law of conservation of energy. This was one of the most important topics that we covered. And although we didn't specifically say it in each activity, we needed to use this and remember this in each activity. So we really have practiced it a bit. And so hopefully we can understand how it's related to our scenario. Okay. And that's your project. So there are 4 or 5 kind of different pieces that we've practiced over and over now. And you have a lot of creativity that you can add to it and flexibility. But please let me know if you have questions, okay? I really want you to feel successful. So if you're feeling stuck, make sure you kind of know where you're at and why you're feeling stuck, and then we can try and work through it together on Friday. Okay, it is due on Friday, but it's a long weekend, and you can work on it over the long weekend if you would prefer. And I won't look at these until Tuesday. But on Tuesday, we will be starting a new unit. So keep that in mind. All right. Thank you for your time and good luck.